Joining us now is Democratic Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts. She's a member of the House Oversight Committee and a member of the Congressional Black Caucus. I would have liked her in consideration, largely because it would be a little bit of bald power in the White House. Congresswoman, good to see you again, as always. Talk to me about this race a little bit. What do you make of these remarkable women we've been talking about? And if Joe Biden were asking your advice right now, what would you tell him?
Well, I think it's about listening to the people, and the people have made it clear that they're looking for leadership at the top of the ticket in partnership with Joe Biden that will lead with a strength of conviction, prioritize racial justice, and also, again, be connected to the people. So I associate myself with all the comments previously said in terms of the strength and the contributions that all of these women could make in terms of their proximity, their lived experience, and their track record.
Talk to me about the idea that some people have asked the vice president whether he will pick an African-American woman. He said he's got 4 on the short list. There are probably more than that when you look at the list of people he's generally been talking about in terms of profile. In your case, during the primaries, you supported Elizabeth Warren, who speaks to a lot of the economic issues that are very close to what you talk about. How does that work into this for you?
Well, policy is my love language. And, one of the key reasons why I supported Senator Warren is because she has centered a racial justice lens in all of her policies. Again, the disproportionate hurt, harm, and hate that has been foisted onto Black Americans for centuries was done through lawmaking. And so, again, I think it makes the point that racial justice must be central in this White House agenda and the Democratic agenda. We have to be strident and unapologetic in that. I'm fortunate to call many of the women that are in contention dear friends, and we would do well to have any of them.
Policy being your love language, let's talk a little bit about policy, or at least the policy that has not passed the United States Senate as it relates to evictions. In your home state of Massachusetts, Black renters are more than 2.5 times more likely to have an eviction filed against them. This is in normal times, not even in the times we're in now. Black women, 3 times as likely to have evictions filed against them, by the way, that are ultimately dismissed, but they remain a stain on their credit report nonetheless.
That's right.
And 80% of Boston eviction cases are currently suspended by the moratorium are in neighborhoods of color. So this storm that has hit African Americans and people of color in this country is about to become a tsunami.
That's right. And just bearing in mind that prior to COVID, there were 3.7 million eviction filings a year. And again, when I was elected to Congress, or rather once I joined Congress, we found ourselves in the midst of a federal government shutdown. And we knew that, that many were on the precipice of facing eviction then, because the average family does not even have $400 of savings to weather a disruptive life event. And so this was already a crisis. This was the #1 constituent call I received as a city councilor and now as a freshman member of Congress. It's why since March I've been calling for a moratorium on evictions and foreclosures, the cancellation of rent and mortgages. And might I add that not only is this a racial justice issue because of the disproportionate impact on Black and brown communities, but this is a public health issue. An eviction tsunami does not allow us to slow the rate of transmission. So this is a matter of the public health. This is a matter of housing, economic, and racial justice. And in this instance, Congress must meet the scale and scope of this crisis. And it's not a matter of or, it's a matter of and when it comes to our legislative responses, which is why I joined with Senator Kamala Harris and Representative Rosa DeLauro to introduce the HELP Act, Housing Emergencies Lifeline Program. That's what families need, is a lifeline. And this guarantees legal representation for those families facing eviction. It also It does address, mitigate the negative marks on their credit reports, and it also requires a collection of that data nationally so we better understand this. Our GOP-led Senate, our colleagues across the aisle, they are either clueless, callous, or disconnected from the real hardships and fear that American families are experiencing. That was true before COVID, is especially true now, and that's why We need to extend unemployment benefits, not cut them. We need to cancel rent and mortgages. We need an eviction and foreclosure moratorium. And we need to pass things like the HELP Act so that we have another layer of tenant protections.
You've set up a discussion that I'm going to be having for the rest of the hour about the fact that there are people waking up this morning who are truly anxious and scared, not just about their meals, but in fact about the roof over their head. Congresswoman, thank you for your work. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley of the 7th District in Massachusetts.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.